When it comes to building a good feeding program, I think there's a lot of different opinions out there, and I love to hear all of them, because the more that you can learn, the more you can gain from it to, find best practices. Corn is the best deer attractant I think there is. I think it works all year long. I mean, it's candy to a deer. It doesn't have the best nutrition, but it brings them in a lot of times, and it'll help sustain them in tough times. So we run a lot of corn feeders on our deer leases. We go out, fill them. We adjust our timers based on what we're seeing at different times. But I also think we gain a lot of other advantages by having a program like that in place. But probably my favorite thing is what we can do with different types of on-demand feed properties. Now, I'm a big believer, about 16% protein in your free range is really about the best you're going to get the benefit of. I know the guys that are in that high fence breeding stuff, they feed a lot of 20 plus in their breeding programs, and that's really good for those deals. But when it comes to free choice, about 16% is probably where we see our biggest bet. By having the program that we've built over the years, it's free choice. They come and eat when they want. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's an on-demand gravity feeder, and they come in and they get their nibbles when they need it. But what's interesting is when Mother Nature is got good range habitat, we see a massive cut or reduction in amount of feed that we're going to go through. So there's an ebb and a flow there, and by having that there, though, I think it gives our deer a better chance, and it also allows us to attract a lot of other game species. And we use Record Rack. Antler Plus is my go-to. I think we've proven it time and time again how well it performs. And our whitetail on places that we've had our program in place for a long time, they're going to outweigh our deer by as much as 15 to 20 pounds in places that we don't have that program. And that means to me a deer is going to be in better shape, which gives him a chance to have better headgear at the end of the day.
As part of our deer management, feeder pens are essential where cattle and wild hogs are present.
Feeder pens are something that we've had to evolve to, and most Texans do a lot of times. Texas is ranch country. There's a lot of cattle. Cattle like a lot of the traditional deer feed that people feed as well, so there's a competition going on there. And you've got wild hogs. And when you put those two together, you really don't want to feed those as a deer manager, and you're trying to get the most for your wild game. And so we've really worked and built a lot of different feeder pens. We've done them out of barbed wire, we've done them out of hog wire, we put different heights, different sizes. Our most successful ones are these cattle panels, so to speak, that what's what we call them, and we go in and they pin themselves together. And through time, we've really determined that if we cut a section or two out, create what I call a jump-in spot with them, take some hose clamps and some T-posts to really reinforce them, we can lessen. You can't ever eliminate all the activities that are going on by the undesirables, as I call them, from getting in there, and therefore your feed that you're putting out is going to the wild game that you're hoping it will go to. And when we build a feeder pen, we like to make them as big as we financially can afford to. And a lot of times we'll have 2 feeders in there and or a protein feeder. And in some cases, we'll even throw a cottonseed feeder in there. And what we're trying to do is create a buffet. We may not necessarily be trying to shoot deer inside that area, but we're trying to create something that in this part of Texas, we can't grow crops. We're not gonna be able to grow big cornfields or oats more often than not. So we've got to do something to be able to subsidize in these hard, dry conditions and give our game a little bit of benefit. Our main focus when we're trying to create a feeding program is to make our property better. Our whitetail, or we could be doing the same thing for wild turkeys or whatever. Our goal is to create a buffet that's better than our neighbors, to make these deer honestly want to stay on our property and call it home, and so that we can work our magic to hopefully harvest some of them down the road.